Hello everyone, I'm Anuj Jaggi and I'm a legal intern with LEXIS and Company. And the topic for today's video presentation is essentials of a contract, agreement and the difference between the two. So let's start. There are quite a few essentials of a contract which namely are agreement, intention to create a legal relationship, free and genuine consent, lawful object, lawful consideration, certainty of meaning, possibility of performance, agreements not declared void or which are illegal. These are some of the essentials to be named, and further the main thing, which is what is a contract. Contract are promises that the law will enforce. This means that contract can be as simple as the agreement with the milkman to deliver your milk in the house and you are obligated to pay the milkman. Mutuality and meeting of minds. For example, if minor enters into a contract, there is no mutuality. Further moving ahead, principles and rules which regulate a valid and an enforceable contract. For example, law of contract, making of the contract and abiding by the contract. Rights and liabilities are decided by the parties themselves. Law of contract deals Law of contract deals with voluntary created civil obligations only. Contract is nothing but an agreement plus intention to create legal obligation plus all essential elements which I mentioned before. When the two parties enter into an agreement with an intention to hold the other party liable in case of non-performance of the or if they are not abiding by the contract, then only the agreement between the two becomes a contract. Further, Pollock defined contract as every agreement and promise enforceable at law. Then further moving ahead, according to section 2H of the Indian Contract Act, which defines contracts as an agreement enforceable by law, is a contract. And further, offer to contract plus the acceptance of the proposal becomes a promise. Agreement plus intention to create legal obligation plus other essentials of the contract which are given under section 10 becomes a contract ultimately. Then I'll be talking about agreement. Agreement is an accepted proposal, and the two main elements of agreement are offer or a proposal, and secondly the acceptance of the proposal by the other party. The party making the offer is known as the offerer and the party accepting the proposal is known as the offering. For a fictional example, let's take A, who owns 2 cars, and Y wishes to sell car to X for rupees 30,000. B, an acquaintance of A, does not know that A owns the car that X is about to sell. He thinks that A owns only car Y and is offering to sell the same for the stated price. Then, in this case, there is no contract because the contracted parties have not agreed on the same thing at the same time. A offering to sell his car and B agreeing to buy a car. But the main thing is that the two cars are different. A, who owns the X car, he is not willing to sell that particular car, but B is interested in another car. That's why there is no agreement in this situation. Further, agreement is a promise or a set of promises. A promise comes into existence when proposal is made by one and accepted by the another party. These exchange promises must form consideration to each other. and every contract is an agreement, but every agreement is not a contract. Moral duties cannot be enforced. These are the exceptions of agreement. Every party owes some performance to the other, and further every promise is forming a consideration, or consideration is something giving in return for each other. Say that the consideration that X will receive is rupees 50,000 and the consideration which Y will receive is 50,000 for his car. This type of known as consideration. And lastly, some key points in this agreement and essentials of a contract are that proposal plus acceptance of the proposal, it becomes a promise, and then promise plus consideration, then it becomes an agreement, and lastly agreement plus, when it becomes enforceable by law, it ultimately becomes a contract. I hope I was able to explain the essentials of a contract clearly, and if you have any doubts or queries, please drop them in the comment section. Thank you.